Thank you very much, lads. It is upper bracket final time. Two squads that faced resilient competition in their upper semifinals yesterday. Both going to 6 games, nearly to Champions Field before clutching up when it mattered most. And particularly for Moist Esports, getting a Herculean effort out of Rise. 9 goals, including a natural hat trick to erase a 3-0 deficit 30 seconds in to that 6th game when it felt like Liquid might have had all the momentum going towards Champions Field.
Yeah, and Rise just sitting one spot below Seiko for goals per game. This regional is Relating Wave already putting a shot on target. But for Rise, he is definitely, again, rising to the occasion. We hate to say it, Stacks, but for me, I want to see more out of Joyo in this series. He's been very, very quiet in the Super 16, and I think his team needs him most right here, and the creativity needs to come out.
After all the clutch plays from yesterday, Vatira making the quick read and reaction to stop a ball that was careening towards his net. And Vatira and Rise will break out in formation. Rise running ahead. Vatira takes the shot, and it's just a little bit high. Joyo, little hesitation. Relating Wave got the shot, and Joyo will guide this out to the corner. You talk about goals per game, and while it's impressive, of course, for Rise, who makes the save there, bringing this all the way across. We'll get to him in a moment. Relating Wave, great pass down, and Metsonoris couldn't react in time. All the pressure right now from Endpoint, just blazing out of the gates. As Archie up there looking to set up Relating Wave. That's hard out of the corner for Metsonoris, but Rise had the read. That's Vatira, double tap lined up, and he missed it high.
Great pre-flip read there from Rise to get that ball all the way downfield, and Vatira had the double tap lined up, just couldn't quite tuck it underneath the crossbar. But here comes Rise looking for another opportunity, beat out by Archie, and Archie gonna pay for his efforts there as Vatira gonna slow things down, allow Rise to rotate back to defense, and here comes Moist Esports marching downfield, looking to open this series up. It's been so closely packed as shots coming all over the place. Offense definitely not coming out of premium here in this series.
Popped up here, but to, well, almost no avail. Archie able to line up a shot. Vatira got a piece. And Relating Wave goes around one. Joyo with a big booming clear that sends Archie all the way back. And this is awkward. I don't know what in the world happened with Archie, but Rise will take advantage.
I have no clue what happened. Just a big whiff on the field. He had plenty of boost, and you could see the look on his face. He realized he let that ball get away from him, but gotta shake that one out, kid. Don't let it disrupt your play as Endpoint down one early. They looked hot to start. 6 shots in the first 2 minutes, but Moist Esports capitalizing on that mistake.
Archie right at Vatira with Relating Wave coming in as well. And Metsonoris to keep the play alive. Sends Relating Wave to the corner. Here's Archie running on. And Joyo Kami with the stop right in front. And Archie got this one away from Rise, who was just very pedestrian with that ball. And Endpoint allowed to stay on the attack. Metsa going after Vatira and just bullied him away, allowing Relating Wave to tie the game.
Well, all he had to do was just show that he was going for bump, and Vatira couldn't do anything other than try and avoid it. And the further he got away from the ball, the bigger the gap opened on the net. And just like that, we're all tied up.
If you are not a fan of the long, grindy overtimes, 0-0, 2-1, stuff like that, really defensive games, I think you're going to love both of these teams the way they've been playing this weekend. As Rise couldn't clear the zone, Vatira can, but Joyo had to get in there as well. Metsa dumps one right back in, and Rise will launch one out for Joyo. This will waterfall down, and Relating Wave with the clear. Not out of the zone just yet, as Rise will keep it in deep in the corner, and Joyo into the play as well. Vatira circles around, waiting for the pass from Joyo, waiting to see if Rise will get involved in the play. He's going to have to now with Joyo demolished, and Archie will set up Relating Wave. It is breakneck pace, back and forth. It has turned into a track meet very early on, as Rise would have been denied there by Archie, and Archie will at least get this out to center, but he's got to get boost, and he has plenty to work with at the back. Vatira to play one away right at Metanoris. Both of these teams opened the floodgates offensively yesterday, especially talking about Moist. They won a shootout with Team Liquid.
Yeah.
We mentioned it in 6 games. They outscored them 16-14 in the series. And then Endpoint with an impressive win as ever over Team BDS, getting 3 goals in 3 out of their 4 wins, including the clincher, as Rise will circle around and one, and Metanoris forced to retreat along with Archie.
Yeah, and one thing that I liked that we saw from Moist yesterday was the resiliency, going down 2-1 against Team Liquid and then fighting their way back. And obviously, super impressive from Endpoint going up 3 games, but it looked a little hairy there as BDS started to climb their way back. But as you were talking about, Stacks, offense definitely prevalent between both of these teams. Just shot after shot. So far, we're up to 16 total in this series, still all tied up, ball hanging in the orange half, and Endpoint gladly gonna let that one hit the ground, wipe the hands off, and send us right into overtime.
What's the most appropriate way to end game 1 after talking about 2 explosive offenses?
No way!
A quick overtime. Vatira, 8 seconds in, has another strong start to a series.
Look at this ground pinch. Ow, nasty, goes off of an Endpoint player into the net. And Moist Esports not gonna go long into overtime with that one. And Vatira, great read there. But I'm more impressed with Moist Esports' ability to get out of their defensive half and immediately transition right into offense. Everyone getting involved there for Moist Esports, and Joyo holding down that back line well.
Moist now 5-0 in overtime in the Super 16. They had a win in overtime yesterday against Liquid as well. They continue to perform in the clutch. And listen, a lot of people expected that after a 3-0 lead in Game 6, Liquid was obviously going to force Game 7 yesterday, and they battled back then. There's just something about this squad. You cannot teach clutch, no matter how often you try. There's just no textbook for that. Somehow, this team has it. It makes them one of the scariest teams, not just in Europe, but the world.
Well, and I talked about it last split. I talked about it all winter long about this Moist Esports squad just being able to utilize every tool available to themselves. I mean, they go for fakes, they go for bumps, they go for demos, they go for passing plays, they go for individual mechanical plays. I mean, this is such a complete roster. But what's most impressive about that Game 1 victory, not a single assist. It was all 1v1, mano-y-mano, and your Endpoint, if you allow Moist to start hammering home those infield passes, it is going to be a long, well, actually a short series if you allow them to start doing that.
The big relief for Endpoint here, knowing they have at least punched their ticket to the Spring Major in London. This result doesn't matter as much to them as, say, needing to beat BDS yesterday to erase all the drama.
But
and then, of course, needing a couple results to go their way as well. Yes, seeding very important. You don't want to be in that 5 spot if you can avoid it. You usually end up against, say, a G2 or a FaZe at some point. But Tira had that one deflected away by Relating Waves, so Joyo's got to play that from his own backboard. And Vatira around Metanoris.
Oh, nice.
Vatira, solo effort. No assist needed. Vatira's on fire.
Just slice and dice by 1, by 2, the third. See ya later, Vatira. Putting Endpoint in a clip, putting them in a blender, and on the dry cycle.
You talk about playing for seeding, playing for everything that you possibly can. We talked about it a little bit with Evil Geniuses on the desk yesterday. It doesn't matter how long the odds are. If you've got a shot to improve your standing in any way or get a little extra money out of an event, yes, you have to play with that sense of urgency. If you don't, well, your teammates will find somebody who will. Here goes Rise. You can tell Moist does not have that problem. And now we'll see what Endpoint is made of. Can they come back now from behind against Moist. The loose ball in front. Metanoris got to it in time. Relenting Wave with Joyo chasing him, got the clear. And he can get a shot off here, but Vatira beat him to the punch. And he also got a piece of that effort from Archie.
And Stacks, I've just been corrected by our wonderful statistician, Direct. He actually said Moist is second to last, 19th out of 20 for assist percentage this season. So I don't know what I'm watching out there, but it just seems like their passing is always on point like that. They're always finding each other in mid, and while it might not lead to an immediate goal, it keeps the pressure, causes panic on the defense, and the creativity just always opens things up for them.
They're so patient, too, as Joyo tries to set up Rise, then ran forward, trying to serve as a battering ram.
Great
now Vatira, after the demo on Metanoris, Archie got payback on Rise, so that cut out that option, and Metanoris back into the play will at least slow things down long enough for everybody to get back onto the field, get boosted up. Positioning's not great. Chaos still kind of ensuing here as Vatira stayed with that play. Set up Rise. This kicks out for Joyo Kami, but he's got to run back with Metanoris trying to take him out. Get a cheeky demo to maybe disrupt the Moist defense. It did not work out that time. The demo on Archie erases an option for Endpoint, and Vatira dances right around Metanoris. The focus on the defensive end is inhuman from Moist Esports.
Well, and it's all kind of resting on the shoulders of those defensive demos as well. It's much easier to defend when you're only looking at two offenders and the third one's waiting to respawn. And Moist Esports always looking for someone when they're rushing back on defense in transition, and it slows down Endpoint entirely as Moist Esports looking to go on offense. Great dunk there from Joyo, and Vatira gets demoed at midfield. Joyo takes out the back line, but Rise can't push that 50 through, and Relating Wave just buying time for his teammates, and Endpoint breaking out, looking to tie up game number 2.
Joyo baiting in Metanoris, got around him. Numbers advantage, but Archie with the save. And Metanoris freshly spawned back in, downfield, got one touch, needed more to bring that ball more central. And Joyo quickly around Relating Wave, holding a 1-0 lead. Can't imagine this will be enough to hold the line. A second would certainly help, but Rise is denied by Metanoris, his third save. 3rd out of 5. There have been no saves on the Moist side of the field, and Vatira adds to his tally another unassisted goal.
Stacks, look at this angle. Oh my goodness. Relating Wave had to respect the fact that Rise was streaking down the center of the field, and you'd think Vatira's got to pass there. Surely I have this angle covered up, but no, the smallest window was left open. Just a slight breeze could find its way through, and somehow the ball squeezes in. Moist Esports up by 2, and 30 seconds remain. It's going to be a long climb to get this game all tied up for Endpoint.
How different game 2 often is from game number 1. The teams combined for nearly 20 shots in game 1. One team's got none. Nothing even near the target. Actually, no. Relating Wave has one on target-ish. Not saved. There have been no saves from Moist. You talk about their defense. Hey, the best defense is to not let them shoot at all. Vatira streaking down the field, trying to add one more. He doesn't need to. Moist has a 2-0 lead, and I wonder if an Endpoint timeout might be in the cards.
It's got to be, especially after game number 1 where they shot 10, 11 times, and then in game number 2 almost get goose-egged with Relating Wave, only 1 on target. And Stacks, you've got your crystal ball out today. Endpoint is going to take that time out. As you see him just kind of standing up, stretching, talking it over as Moist Esports. Shogun talked about it. They are so good at transitioning from day 1 to day 2 to day 3, looking like the exact same team and keeping that consistency. And the consistency continues to show.
Moist Esports out here running a bakery. A lot of donuts on that scorecard that you just saw. Even on their side, particularly, as we mentioned at the end of that game, the saves. You do not see that often at this level, that level of dominance, where Moist just did not let Endpoint get near the net. A couple of decent looks. Relating Wave had the only official shot, and a very confident Moist Esports squad now 10 minutes of gameplay away from getting to the grand finals of the Super 16.
So exciting. Moist Esports, Vatira, 3 out of their 4 goals in 2 games. And so far, every single one has been unassisted. Just every player on Moist Esports has that mechanical ability, the ability to just take over a game at a moment's notice. And right now, Endpoint has to figure out how to counter that, has to figure out how to stay on offense. And honestly, Stacks, they've got to really focus on those defensive demos that Moist Esports are pulling out, because that's what's slowing them up. They have that great push downfield, and then it turns into a 2v3 disadvantage, and Moist Esports just bombs that ball right back downfield, and they're right back at square one on defense.
This shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that watched Moist Esports on Friday. They got through Friday's chaos with a 1.14 goals against average. That, of course, changed when they went up against Liquid. That shootout, that raised that a little bit, but they also raised their own goals per game as a team by almost a third of a point. And when you think about that, okay, you think, okay, 0.3, that's not no, that's a huge number when you're talking about averages, especially with the number of games that they ultimately had to play. That 6-game series, they managed to up their goals per game by such a massive extent. And now they're right around that 2 goals a game again, but more importantly, not letting Endpoint get towards their net. Relating Wave finally forces a save out of Vatira as we kick off Game 3 on the iconic DFH Stadium. And Vatira looking for that corner boost. It's not going to be there, so half a tank will have to be good enough. And it is, as Joyo makes the initial save. Relating Wave to follow, and he hit the crossbar. You do not get many great opportunities like that against this team. You have to cash in.
And one thing you can take away from this is 30 seconds into game number 3, and already Endpoint have 3 shots on target. They've had all of the pressure, so coming right out of that timeout, you have to applaud their efforts. Great use of it as Archie coming downfield, but Vatira beats him out. Joyo goes up looking for a bump midair. Relating Wave saw that one coming, and Vatira, we talked about those defensive demos to stifle the pressure as we've got a 2v1 situation, but Metza cuts it out.
Joyo just getting a piece of that ball as well, forcing it wide. Endpoint have looked much better offensively coming out of the timeout. They looked much better at the end of Game 6 after their timeout yesterday. We talked about on the desk teams using their timeouts to great effect in the Super 16, where it looked like maybe they were starting to go out of favor. Archie with the demo. It's an open net. They can't miss this. Relating Wave gives Endpoint the lead.
My goodness, Relating Wave just goes coast to coast, and Archie clears the way for him. He just rolled that ball in. And just like that, Endpoint up by 1. It's been a long time coming, almost 10 full minutes since their last goal. They finally get it there as Moist Esports put on their heels.
Joyo double not there. Rise the follow. It's going to be wide, and Archie will collect this out of the corner. This is a much better start for Endpoint, already with 5 shots on target, threatening a 6th here as Rise has to catch this. Relating Wave past him at Sonoris. The shot's wide. Archie to follow, and it goes wayward out to the corner. These 5 shots coming off the heels of not just their lowest of the split with Archie in a single game, the lowest of the whole season.
My goodness.
1 shot.
That is impressive. I mean, you've got to commend Moist Esports for just really keeping Endpoint in the orange half there as Rise gets by 1, not by 2. And big mistake by Joyo on the back half. The ball just floats over his head, and Endpoint up by 2.
Relating Wave was brilliant at times against Team BDS, and then at others maybe disappeared a little bit, but he has shown up in a big, big way here. He's got all 3 goals for Endpoint in this series.
And for Endpoint, you want to see Archie start to show up here. Big moment. You brought him in for a reason. He had some massive shoes to fill after Seiko left for BDS. And so far, nothing to show for it in this series, not even an assist. As Metanaris going to poke that ball forward, but no one there for the follow-up for Endpoint is, oh my goodness, Relating Wave just hammering that ball in and going to keep Endpoint on offense.
Archie had that one fall to him. That's a great pass. What field vision to find Relating Wave back there, but he could not follow it up. Now Metzanorth, they have kind of frozen the Moist defense, but Vatira up to the challenge inside 2 minutes. All the pressure coming now from Endpoint. Joyo just trying to do everything he can to get quickly down the side wall. Rise waiting.
Archie.
It fell to him. Archie couldn't clear, and Moister on the board.
That's the second time now where this ball's gone off the backboard for free. You gotta get the touch, especially at this level, especially on Sunday, especially that far into this tournament. And Endpoint give one away. Moist Esports cut the lead in half.
That's the 8th goal between these two teams. Only the second assist as Archie made the save. Another follow-up save. And finally, Joyo Kami will come through. Joyo ties the game after a relentless barrage off the kickoff.
And just chaos on the back line for Endpoint. And Joyo saw Metza creeping forward, knew that right upper 90 was going to be wide open. And the accuracy on display for the young Joyo Kami as Moist Esports evaporate the lead from Endpoint.
Europe has been fun to watch in this one. The Super 16 heating up as Archie adds another off the kickoff. It is Super Saturday all over again.
Oh my goodness, 131 kilometers per hour. Some heat put behind that ball as Archie takes the pass off a Relating Wave, and Relating Wave has just been trying to will Endpoint into the grand finals. 100% goal participation so far in this series.
After only 1 assist through the first 7 goals of this series, 3 in a row, as the teams combine in a shootout. Archie trying to get quickly back to this one and extend their lead. Relating Wave around the corner, denied by Vatira. And Rise, he didn't really have a good play, and that's a very mature decision, not forcing anything, realizing there's plenty of time. Again, the ice on this team is incredible. Archie downfield, it's just off target, and Vatira has to play it off his own back wall. Never a comfortable play, but it's the right one. Joyo trying to get around Metzanorth, at least cleaned him out. Rise to Vatira, tough angle, and Relating Wave has it with just about 30 to go. Joyo now denied by Metzanorth, and Archie's got to clean up the effort there.
Yeah, Rise kind of showed his hand a little too early on that one. Endpoint knew a pass was coming out as Joyo has to come from almost midfield to get that clear into his own corner, and 15 seconds remain. Here comes Moist Esports. Vatira off the ceiling, can't get his fingertips on that one, but less than 10 to go. Rise getting bumps on the back half, but Endpoint get a much needed clear.
Joyo to Vatira. Again, great field vision, but Relating Wave with the rejection. Metzanorth to sky one away from Vatira. Joyo's got to keep it in the air. It's angling downward. Rise couldn't get it to Vatira, and Endpoint are alive in the series.
My goodness, great use of that timeout from Team Endpoint, and you've got to commend Eclipse there for whatever he told his team. He saw something that Moist Esports was doing, some fault, some crack, and they were able to capitalize.
In the discussion of best coaches in the RLCS, I know we had that discussion on the pre-show yesterday. I think Eclipse has to be in that conversation.
For
right
sure.
There alongside someone like Chrome with Space Station Gaming. He's got Endpoint on the board here. 3-2 in game 3. They explode after, again, being held to their lowest shot count of the whole season in game 2. Well-utilized timeout. Now we go on to Utopia Coliseum, Subi, with a renewed Endpoint squad and a chance to maybe compound this momentum.
Massive game here, Stacks. Game number 4 for Moist Esports. You don't want to allow this series to get tied right back up after all that hard work, after all of that offensive production in games 1 and 2. Got to do whatever you can. Treat this game as a must-win, because Endpoint, a team that can just ride the wave of a momentum all the way to the grand finals.
Trying to get to that grand finals where they may have to get through Team BDS again. You never know what you're going to get out of that squad, other than you can be certain they are not going to go quietly, no matter who's in front of them in the lower bracket. Vatira trying to get one to Joyo. He ultimately will, but Joyo had to go a long way. Couldn't get the demo, could Vatira, as Archie and the entire Endpoint defense evade the efforts of Moist to get bumps and demos inside the net.
Wow.
Joyo knocked away, and so too is the ball by Archie. Relating Wave is up. He got a good shot off, and Rise saved it off the crossbar.
Moist Esports just really getting that one close to the net as Relating Wave coming in. Advantage for Endpoint here. Relating Wave can't get it away from Rise, and great job avoiding a demo, but here comes infield pass. Archie can't tuck it in. Trying to go close side and in as Archie gets back pass. Here comes Metza, and great little stint in the offensive half here for Endpoint as the clear going to slow things down slightly, and the demo certainly going to slow things up. Here comes Vatira over one. Ball going down, and Rise looking for Joyo, but Metzanaris can't quite get the touch. And a minute and a half has gone by, and so far only one shot from Moist Esports.
This matchup has not been a thinking man's game. It is all read and react. Joyo trying to avoid Relating Wave, and then Wave doing all he can to play keep away, hoping Archie can come up from the back. And Moist had at least a brief look at the net. Trying to get another now, but Metanoris got around Joyo. And Archie had that go over his head. Wasn't expecting it. Chance for Vatira and Rise. And Archie's got to be careful. He gave it right to Rise, but just enough that Rise had to adjust, and he could not get around on a shot. It works out all right for Endpoint. Another strong defensive effort out of Archie comes through, but now he's demolished. So it's all Relating Wave. Metzanoris trying to come in and help as well. And, well, that's as good a defensive play as you can make. Took Rise right out of the air.
Oh, great speed from Vatira to get that 50-50. And he's going to get the boost steal. Keep that one away from Relating Wave as Vatira going to slow things down. Try and go solo off the back wall. Gets the touch. Oh, but can't find the angle. And Moist Esports still searching to open up game number 4. It's been so close-knit. And it really feels like Moist Esports starting to find that momentum as Archie puts it over to Relating Wave. Big clear downfield.
You see so many double tap efforts from players of this caliber, and it's almost a surprise when they don't convert or put the shot on. That shot very much on target. A line drive that Rise has dealt with. And Vatira's got to race up the corner. He won't get there. Couldn't get the corner boost either. Archie took it from behind him. He's going to try and catch up to Vatira, and does so, using that boost he stole out of the zone on his way back.
And Endpoint taking away Moist Esports, probably one of their greatest attributes. Their speed. Oh my goodness, what a touch from Relating Wave to keep that ball out. Moist Esports almost had the pinch of a century right there. Almost going from their own half and in.
I've seen the question posed more than a few times. When is that going to be the next evolution? Teams going for plays like that. Those cross-field pinches that would be almost impossible to react to. Relating Wave did literally just enough to snuff that one out. He's got Metzanoris as an option, but Rise is in the way, and no wasted time at all. 2-on-1 advantage. Rise to Vatira, and the shot nowhere near the mark, and a missed opportunity there for Moist. As great a build-up as that play was, it certainly deserved a far better finish. This is very dangerous. Drop down in front, and Archie coming out of the goal.
Open.
Initial save, and then Joyo pushed it wide right. I don't know if he was trying to maybe break down the defense a little bit more. It did not work out. That shot has to be far left.
Exactly. The left side was wide open, and I think he just thought a little too much. Metzanaris goes up, gets 2 to go from Moist, and goal line wide open. Nobody there for Endpoint, and Joyo keeps it out. My goodness. Moist Esports. Talk about putting the blood pressure up on that play.
Relating Wave down to Archie. Last second effort is sent away, and Rise for Vatira in behind the defense. Far down and through after so many near misses. This one ends in regulation.
Why not? Why not? Just no second on the clock, no time remaining. Just put it in. No overtime needed. And Moist Esports take the game 4. It was a must-win situation, in my opinion, Stacks. They are sitting pretty now. They just need one game and Endpoint forced to win 3 in a row. And Moist Esports avoiding all of the shots that Endpoint were putting on target, but you gotta wonder about the accuracy there from Endpoint. They had a few opportunities that just narrowly didn't go in.
Hey, I'm worried about the accuracy. Look at that pinch. That is unreal. And then the 0-second effort. Again, after so many near misses, that's the shot that goes through at the end, and it puts Moist Esports on match point, trying to reach the grand finals of the Super 16. They'll try and clinch it on Wasteland with Endpoint out of timeouts. They used one when they went down 0-2, and it worked out great. They got the win in game 3, back and forth affair as it was. The offense came through in a big way. Not so much in that last game. 0-0 for 5 minutes and a little bit of change. Ended by Rise and Vatira. And now, how do you bounce back? Vatira almost on the opening kickoff. Would have been a loud statement. And Archie and Metanoris not on the same page here. Rise has Joyo forward and Relating Wave didn't give him any time to develop the play.
It's tough for Endpoint because you want to try and match Moist Esports, speed for speed. You want to try and take away that advantage of them rushing the ball, and they were doing a great job for 4 minutes and 59 seconds. Big miss there from Relating Wave, but all it takes is one misstep, one miscue, and Moist Esports can take that ball all the way downfield and score on you. So for Endpoint, you've got to play perfect Rocket League. And yes, I love the aggression that we were seeing. I love the fact that they were staying in that blue half, but 0 seconds remaining on the clock. You can't go all in, especially when it's all tied up. You've got to remember, your third man has to be far enough away just in case that big clear comes out. Oh, Vatira. Oh, Vatira getting physical on the back line.
Yeah, put an asterisk next to this one. Sure, not assisted. Yes, it was. Vatira putting Archie in the net. Rise followed it up with the ball in the net. Just over a minute gone by, and Moist Esports have all the momentum. They hold all the cards. They got an empty net, and Vatira slots it home.
Endpoint starting to fall apart. 6 seconds later, Rise gets a big clear downfield, which turns into a perfect pass. And all Vatira has to do is slot it in. Big time cushion for Moist Esports in this series.
Rise has this all the way through, and Relating Wave had to make a difficult play along the back wall. Now Metza up for Wave, and he whipped on it. He stay with it? No, Metza has to follow. Archie, gotta have this somewhere near the target at least, and Rise is not interested in the least. As Vatira, but he got nudged there by Archie on his way back. Relating Wave has Metza to his left and could never get the ball anywhere near him. Here comes Moist Esports again. Maybe, as we just saw displayed a moment ago, I know we're all prone to hyperbole and somebody always has to be the best X in the world. I think this might be the most clutch team in the world. I'll tell you why in a moment with Relating Wave getting a clear here. And Joyo just catching this along the side.
Come on, Stacks. I don't want to wait. Tell me.
Well, let's see if Vatira can put one in here. No, he can't. And Joyo has Rise. And Archie with a clear. That assist by Rise to set up the game winner. Last game, again, has to wait. Metanoris will score with 2:40 to go. And it's a stat that actually might be relevant if Endpoint can mount a comeback.
I like the idea there from Rise to go off your own back wall, treat it as an extra player on your team, extra teammate to pass to, but you gotta follow through with that double tap or you leave your teammate on the goal line just stranded on an island, and Metanoris capitalizes beautifully as Endpoint. 1 half to go here, still chasing 1 goal. That's a great opportunity, and Archie gonna tie it up.
Yeah, I was kind of cheering for this to happen. BDS couldn't do this against Endpoint. Endpoint coming through clutch at the end. Second half of Game 5, battling back from the brink. And Endpoint refuses to go away. And maybe another heroic finish coming here for Moist Esports. Joyo up the wall. Rise let that one go by. He couldn't catch up to it, and Metza Norris trying to get the ground pinch against Joyo.
50.
And just killed it right there. That's a great defensive effort by Joyo. He made the stop there, too, to send this off his own backboard. Good set from Archie. And again, a third great defensive play in the same sequence out of Joyo.
Oh, if he gets that touch and it goes closer to midfield, it's so dangerous as Archie. Oh, saw his spot and picked it, but Rise took it away and gets the flip reset to push this ball downfield, but looks like Moist Esports having some boost issues. 2 players very low. They finally boost up there as Vatira forced to go back as Joyo gets a much needed demo. Relating Wave pushes the ball back into the blue half, and a minute and a half remains here, Stacks, is Relating Wave keeping the pressure, and Endpoint just realizing how important this is. They want to try and lock in that 4th seed for London.
Listen, I'm no coach, but this one's for free, as Relating Wave will try and get this out of the corner. Just keep the ball away from Rise when it gets to 0 seconds.
Yeah.
Remember how we said you cannot teach clutch? It's harder even to quantify it. He has an 88.89 goal participation percentage with zeros on the clock for Moist to tie or take the lead. Think about that.
No, I don't want to. It's disgusting.
It is absurd.
It makes me
so jealous. He is not a human. He is an alien from a distant planet that has been brought here to dominate this game.
Ridiculous.
As Joyo is being chased by Archie, and Relating Wave is right there to bring it back in. Got the demo on Joyo, but there is Rise. 30 seconds. This is winning time. It is Rise's time as Metza playing a real dangerous game. Joyo coming up from the back. There is Rise, but Archie got the clear. Metza trying to go in behind Vatira with the save. And now with 10 seconds, all eyes on Rise. He's got it here. And Vatira and Joyo trying to get this out of harm's way. One more touch needed to slow down Metza Norris. We're on that 0 second mark. It's Archie this time, and Vatira was at least in the way. Relating Wave top. We're going to game 6. Relating Wave is unreal.
No way. Relating Wave saying, Rise, anything you can do, I can do better, and puts it right over his head. Endpoint keeping themselves alive.
And what a statement right at him. Captain Clutch couldn't react in time, and Endpoint stay alive with another 3-2 dub.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe that not only did they win that, but how did they keep that ball alive for so long? Absolutely impressive performance there from Endpoint. And obviously, after the first minute of gameplay, I thought, okay, Moist Esports, congrats for making the grand finals. You guys are heating up just in time for London. But then Relating Wave does that over Rise? You've got to be kidding me. This is absolutely incredible. The amount of ice that is in this lobby right now. Stacks, you're melting it all. It's insane.
You can play hockey in the Sahara Desert with this amount of ice. This is unbelievable. One of the most fun series. Look,
wow.
This whole split for Europe, ignoring the BDS dominance, as great a storyline as that has been to follow, everything else has been supremely fun and entertaining. This one, no exception, and Relating Wave will do it again.
Just 8 seconds later, but it's a new game. Endpoint continue to keep that pressure, and it was just chaos on the back line. The ball could only stay there for long enough, and it's all smiles on the side of Endpoint, and a stark contrast on the side of Moist Esports.
All the motivation to try and qualify for this LAN that will be played effectively in Relating Wave's backyard. And boy, has he risen to the occasion. They clinched the World Championship spot. They clinched the major spot yesterday. And now, trying to clinch a spot in the grand finals of the last day of online play of this RLCS season. Joyo with the save on the shot that was maybe a little bit high from Archie. And now Metza Norris couldn't get that one away from Joyo, but there's Relating Wave. Worst case scenario for Moist. But Rise up to the task, and Archie got to stop there. That slows things down and does not let Moist move with the usual pace they've been accustomed to.
And it's just the speed. You got to be able to match Moist with it. You can't give him space. You can't give him any free time. And Endpoint recognizing that and really doing a great job of battering and bruising Moist Esports every opportunity that they get.
Rise towards Relating Wave. Eventually, they might learn their lesson, but it might take them a trip to Champions Field to do so. Archie trying to weave through traffic, and Rise will have this. Just from behind the dotted lines, there's Relating Wave again. There's nothing he can't do. Metzenora stuffed by Vatira at point blank, and he's got Rise coming through the mid, and Rise just got there ahead of Archie, and Metzenora away from Rise, but Joyo's there,
and
Relating Wave makes the stop. Eclipse is going to get fired. If Relating Wave, he's going to coach the team before this series is over.
Well, I mean, not only coach them, but he's going to teach them the mechanics, as he had to avoid the demo and get the save. He had to pre-jump that to do both at the same time. Great display of concentration from the young man as he comes through, gets the pass down to Archie. Archie on target, but Vatira sends it into the corner. And the first half has almost come and gone, as Moist Esports still searching for their first goal here in game number 6. And Endpoint looking to send us to Champions Field.
Oh, good idea there from Joyo, trying to set up Rise. And even better defensive effort, even away from the ball, by Endpoint. Archie let that one go. Couldn't control it on the side. Metzenora just play one away. Let his teammates get back in position. They needed a reset. Things were getting a little shaky. Now Joyo downfield. Archie avoided Rise, and then Metza stopped Vatira's follow-up effort. Coming up on the 2-minute mark. And this lead that was starting to look a little insurmountable in games from Moist Esports, all of a sudden looking like we may get to Champions Field, but there's still a long way to go here, and maybe an insurance goal or two required. This will drop down to Metza, and there's one.
Metza extending the lead by 1 here is Archie. Great pass, but Rise falters on the goal line there. Needed to get the touch as that ball goes freely off the backboard. And you can't be having that, like we've been talking about, Stacks, at this level, as Archie gets his 2nd assist of the game, his 3rd of the series, and Endpoint running away here in game number 6.
That's just casually Relating Wave with his 6th goal of the series. The easiest one he's had by far. A couple of assists to go as well. Relating Wave refuses to lay down for Moist Esports. And he got a big win here. Can he get the shot off? He sure can. He does it again. It's a hat trick.
They just drive forward. That's the new meta. Just drive forward. Continue to go through that ball. And you saw him get a nice little wave dash to catch up to it, beat out Rise, and push that ball towards the goal line. 4-0 in favor of Endpoint. And everyone getting involved. Moist Esports got to start thinking about game number 7.
Oh, Joyo off the crossbar. Rise, no. Vatira, yes, with 1:27 to go. And normally I would roll my eyes at the idea that this would be possible, but it is Moist Esports, a team that has done this before.
All right, maybe I won't roll them. I'll just blink a few times, because 3 goals in 1.5 minutes against a team like Endpoint, gonna be a tough ask, especially when they're keeping pressure on like that. Woo. And Archie puts the lead back up to 4. Another big miss off that backboard.
And that might have stopped any hopes of such a comeback. But again, we've seen them score in bunches on this very arena. 1:20, 4-goal lead again for Endpoint. Metzenora. Are they going to get another off the kickoff? No, and that's a quick answer from Rise, and Joyo shot got by Archie.
I love this pinch off the back wall from Rise. Bang! Relating Wave not expecting that. Joyo, you see him position himself upside down, gets below the ball, so when he flicks up, puts some elevation underneath it, and carries it all the way to the goal line. as Moist Esports back down by 3, pull out a fake kickoff. Relating Wave recognize it at the last second, so pushes it into the corner to slow down Moist Esports.
4 of these games have been decided by just 1 goal, and then all of a sudden you have this aberration that's getting a little bit closer. Joyo adds 1 here with just over a minute to go, and this is very much within Moist reach.
My eyebrows are starting to raise a little bit, Stacks. What is going on right now with Endpoint? You gotta focus up. Still up by 2, but oh my goodness, they are just getting slashed apart on the kickoffs.
Metza try to line one up. Vatira's got the clear out to the left. And Joyo now. Relating Wave. Try to play that back towards Metza. Expertly done. Needs one out of the corner. Second touch will disrupt the timing of Moist. Now Archie trying to kill more time. Metza for the knockout blow. Not there. And no, they had Relating Wave coming up there. He needed that touch to be sure. Now Vatira bouncer is denied by Archie. Excellent defensive effort, but still not out of danger just yet. Metza over Joyo. That will not do it, as Rise kept it out, and just a glimmer of hope still there for Moist Esports, but they've got to get out of this zone quickly, and Rise didn't have a lot to work with. 7 seconds. Time is going to expire on Moist, and we will indeed head to Champions Field as this Cinderella comeback story continues.
The glimmer of hope turned into a mirage for Moist Esports. Champions Field is on the horizon, and what a way to open up Championship Sunday.
Wouldn't have it any other way. All those zeros that Moist was putting up on either side of the scoreboard early on in this series, they are long, long gone. A lot of crooked numbers, especially being put up by Endpoint as we look back at the replay and see just how Endpoint got us to Champions Field, but it was not smooth sailing coming down the stretch. Moist Esports nearly did it again, but keyword there, nearly. And now we go on to Champions Field, Subi. And I'll tell you, with Endpoint performing like this, I know you worry about those 2 goals at the end. I think they might be the favorite to take this one in 7.
I don't know about that. I mean, good news for Charlie and the Moist Esports boys. I know they're having a big watch party. Rizzo sitting on the couch. They're amped up for this. Game 7, Moist Esports are 10-2. So they have definitely paid their rent on Champions Field.
They have made a living here. Archie waiting for Joyo to come in. Vatira not as patient. Relating Wave off the corner. Great ball. Even better stop by Joyo as Metza hanging around, and Archie had one lined up. But Vatira there to repel the assault. Now Rise trying to slow play this against Metza. Nobody coming in on time as Relating Wave will have one away. I tell you what, with Rise's effort yesterday being as epic as it was, I think Relating Wave, despite not having actually scored 9 goals here, I think he's surpassed that. I mean, we're seeing kind of a backpack effort. Just hop in and get out of the way as Metza's going to sky one out to midfield. Archie there to meet Joyo, but that's a good win by Joyo, but Relating Wave will have this.
Yeah, and speaking of Relating Wave, Stacks, you bring up a Herculean effort. 7 goals in this series, 2 assists, doing everything he can for Endpoint. But right now, they are going to need him most as everybody needs to focus up on the field. Vatira wins that 50 on the back wall. Joyo fakes out. Rise goes down low, and Archie comes in from nowhere, pinches that ball off of Metza, and Rise there, cheating in the zone, puts it in for Moist Esports.
Vatira did this to put the series away yesterday, just kind of hanging around in the zone, and this time it's Rise who's the recipient of a great fortuitous ball. And now it's Moist on top, 90 seconds into Game 7. Relating Wave. Quick answer, could be in the cards, but Rise is there for the stop.
He is so clutch, Stacks. I mean, when you need someone to show up, Rise is always there. He's always been there. He's never left. As Endpoint gets a demo on Vatira, Archie using a lot of boost to keep that ball up. And that ball off the backboard, no follow-up as Relating Wave had rotated back, and Joyo going to meet that ball mid-air. Good neutral 50-50, but in favor of it. Endpoint as Archie has to try and tuck it in, can't find the close post, and they're still keeping it alive. Moist Esports starting to have some boost woes, need to get this ball out.
A lot of heavy traffic in front of that net. It can get chaotic. Who's got the better comms? Archie couldn't get anything behind the shot. And Metsanoris not letting Joyo dribble or catch or anything. Archie for Relating Wave, but Tira cuts that one out. And now it's Archie sprinting back, opting for the corner boost. Avoids Rise by just kind of going up halfway on the wall.
Rise.
It worked out initially. Metsanoris got a piece of that as well, and that disrupted Moist's effort. And Metza has a rare reprieve where he had enough time to at least think about what to do with that ball, made the right choice. And now Rise out of the corner. Archie's got the clear there, calling off Metza. He's got Relating Wave to his right. That's a good option to have. But Vatira doing a good job of making sure Relating Wave does not get a touch.
And 2 minutes to go here, Stacks. Endpoint still trying to get past that impenetrable backline defense of Moist Esports as Relating Wave going up into the corner. Archie fakes that ball, and that one just goes right around him. Still plenty of time for Endpoint, but an advantage here for Moist Esports. Bump on the back line. Archie comes in at the last second to save that line.
Trying to deliver a knockout punch of his own, but it was sent away. That pass got out cleanly to Metza, and Joyo with the clear quickly from the backboard. Archie going back as far as he could. Got the boost. Boost over ball could be costly, but Metsanoris will bail them out for now. Relating Wave, that's a real tough play to make, and Joyo couldn't punish him for it. Now with just over a minute to go, Rise trying to pick one, and it's off the corner of the frame.
Gosh.
Oh, Endpoint got lucky there. They're not going to get many good looks. Got to cash in eventually as Rise will catch this. No rebound, and he goes right over Relating Wave. I don't think Relating Wave has had a good touch on the ball in a while because Moist have made it a point, I think, to keep him away from scoring opportunities. That's in front. And Relating Wave had to settle for stealing boost, but he could not get ahead of Joyo.
Oh, it's just chaotic on that back line for Moist Esports, but there is a rhythm, a method to the madness right now as Vatira poking that ball forward, and they are 20 seconds away from grand finals. They just got to keep this ball in the orange half as Joyo keeping things alive, and Endpoint gonna have to march the full length of the field.
Archie called off Metza. 10 seconds to go. Relating Wave, here's his opportunity. He's been incredible all series. Vatira shut him down.
There
2
it
seconds
is.
left. There is not an orange car in sight, and Moist Esports have done it again on Champions Field.
My goodness, looking unstoppable